Cheers folks and welcome to my channel. The last week of Alliance War Season 5 has started and I've been a bit busy over the weekend, so I am only now able to upload the first two wars, and starting with the first war of the last week, and that has been Alliance War number 10. And we were facing the Jokers. The Jokers, very established alliance out there in the top for quite some time actually, and they're currently placed in number 11 according to War Rating, and they're very well placed in the Master Bracket, which I hope is also where they will up in the end, because they clearly deserve to be in the Master Bracket, in my opinion. Now today, I'm taking path 1 and 2 again. I'm not taking a mini-boss, unfortunately, and I'm also not taking the final boss, but I managed to get that video from my fellow beast Elusive, so I'm actually able to show another mini-boss fight and a boss fight. Since I'm on path 1 and 2, and for those of you who watched me for a bit now, you already know the drill. On that path there's a poison node, and because of the poison node, I'm bringing usually either Hyperion or, in this case, Dormammu. And I decided for Dormammu just because on that poison node there was a mystic champion, so clearly you know, you don't want to go in there with Hyperion and take a risk of then losing that fight, especially if such a mystic is placed with Mystic Dispersion. So I thought the better team for that path was actually Blade, Void and Dormammu. And so I started on, again, the left side, and pretty much didn't have any fights for the evening, because basically there was nobody placed on the first node, so I could just walk by, and then that was already it for the evening. As you know, I'm in Europe, so I'm always starting a bit in the evening, and then doing the second part of my path usually in the morning after I wake up. And that was here. So basically my fights really started on node 25, and that is already the poison node that I was talking about. And this node, again, it's it inflicts poison, draining 100% of health over 60 seconds, enhanced poison capabilities, attack plus 250% and health plus 150%, actually one of the few nodes where attack is higher than health boost, and also important, plagued mind, meaning that the power is drained every 25 seconds. So you have to watch that you can't really use a special after those 25 seconds. And it's especially important since I'm using Dormammu, and Dormammu, of course, with his power lock ability with a special 2. So to make sure that I'm watching the timer, that my special 2, or that I don't, you know, count on using my special 2 when actually the timer runs off, and then I can't use the special anymore. And then it actually turned out to be a magic. And I had a very... It looks a bit boring, it's not so entertaining to watch, but it's actually quite effective way of fighting magic, and that is only hitting her with 2 medium attacks at a time. Because then I basically power drain her on every second medium attack, and she doesn't get any energy at all. And I actually managed to get her to get to my special 2 before this timer of the 25 seconds is up. And then once she's power locked, I can actually then start using a 5 combo again, and once then the power lock is off again, I'm going back to the same strategy, just hitting her with 2 mediums. She didn't get to 1 single bar of power, which means that she doesn't get to 1 single limbo, which means she wasn't able to inflict any of her damage. That is actually the only dangerous thing about magic, if she inflicts her limbo damage. So, very effective way of fighting her. Not the sexiest way of fighting her, but quite honestly, in a alliance war, sexy doesn't matter. What matters is effective. And then on node number 26, and I decided to take that node also, a rank 5 mutant champion. And this node is very much characterized by Optimist and Pessimist, means gains fury, armor up, health steal, as long as the champion is above 75%, and as long as the champion is below 25%, so gets it 2 times during the fight. And on top also enhanced bleed and enhanced crits. And because of the profile of my opponent, I knew that this was going to be an Iceman, and because it's an Iceman, I decided to go for a health recovery boost, so that I can heal back what I lose from Cold Snap. There you see Cold Snap affecting me at the beginning of the fight, and then the health boost is counteracting that, so that I'm actually not losing too much of my health from the start. Still, I mean, it takes basically up to 80% of my health. And then how I fight him is I take out his ice armor with a parry stun in the beginning, and then it's evading his special ones if he fires off his special ones, and he did, and I was able to actually evade them twice. And then with the third one, I was a millisecond too late, and then his cold snap hit me, plus the frostbite, and you see how much damage that does, and suddenly I'm only at 19%. And from that moment, I was really only playing it safe. I didn't I didn't try to evade his fourth special one anymore, and really was focusing on blocking his attack, so that, you know, I don't risk getting any more cold snap, getting any more frostbite. That's really, really dangerous. And I mean, it's a rank 5 Iceman still. I mean, I had 2 frostbites, and it basically took almost 50% of my health. That was very close, very close. And I think, again, the most important thing in those close fights is that you don't panic. You know, even if you're down to 19% of health, don't panic. Just, you know, keep doing what you know actually you have to do in that fight. And then moving on to node number 41. Typical bloodletting node, increases all the bleeding effects, and also they have a higher efficiency, plus 40%, and then champion boost is plus 175% health and attack. And a bleed node, very typical to find a Yondu there, just because he inflicts bleed even when he hits your block. Sometimes, but basically it only does that when he hits you with a light attack. So what you do is you try to get some distance between you and Yondu and let him dash forward to actually fire off his or to actually use his medium attack, because you can block his medium attack, as you see here. That you can block. What you cannot block without the risk of actually bleeding is his light attack. So you want to avoid him using a light attack on you. And then try to get him to his special one, evade his special ones. They are easy to evade, and then you can directly counter attack. And again, if he is below 1 bar of power, just go back to having him dash forward with a medium attack. That you can block, or parry stun actually. So that's really the way to fight Yondu. So the only thing you really have to watch out for is not getting hit by a light attack by Yondu. And the rest you can do actually rather easily. And that was then the first part of my morning fights. Then I was still noded on this node number 45. And I had to wait until I was unnoded, and that happened here. And then I could continue to the next node, and that was a rank 4 tech champion. This node is very much a critical crit node. Critical hit rate is increased by 100%, plus 28% critical rate, and plus 40% critical rate and damage. And then also champion boosts with increased health and increased attack, as all the nodes. And then of course I again took the mandatory boosts to actually end the path successfully. Also, it was actually quite a close fight, quite a close war at that stage. So again, you want to make sure that you do everything to avoid any deaths in this war. And a rank 4 tech champion on that note could have been tricky if it had been, for example, a champion that evades, like, the Ultrons, LR Sparky. It turned out to be a Nebula, and that was actually something I was rather happy about, because Nebula, I mean, besides her healing that she has, you know, she doesn't really have any really risky or dangerous attacks. You basically just let her get to her special one, fire off a special one. That one's really easy to evade. And, you know, then you just counter her, and if she gets her healing, try to parry stun her. And then she immediately loses her healing again. So it's not a big deal, and even if she gets her healing, she usually gets it for one hit that she received. So she's not healing back tremendously much. She's just healing back basically what she lost from one punch that she received. And then it's rinse repeat. Again, special one, counter attack, getting her again to a special one. So, you know, there's nothing really, nothing really scary about this fight, nothing really to worry about in this fight. It's just basically staying focused. So, you know, you parry stun her with the right timings and stuff. And then I was going to the next node, and the next node was a mutant champion. And the next node is a rank 4 mutant champion, and the next node is Unblockable special attack 1 and increased crit rates. So you want to make sure that you evade those special ones or are able to power control that champ so they don't get to the special one. And also they start with a power of 1 bar. And again, usually on this node, Iceman or Emma Frost, which have difficult to evade special ones. Iceman I already fought. Emma Frost was also already fought on a different path. So, and the third one that's quite typical there is an Archangel. And so I went in with Dormammu for 2 reasons. First, because he's immune. So even if Archangel hits with a critical attack, the really, let's say, dangerous thing about Archangel is his bleed and poison, which in the end turn into the neurotoxins. So that you want to avoid. The other thing is because Dormammu can power control. So after Archangel fired off 2 special ones, I basically then power controlled him. And also in the same way that I showed before against Magic, with those 2 medium attacks, and he's actually losing power now, so he doesn't get to any more special 1 attack. So the thing that is dangerous about him in this fight, his unblockable special 1, is basically disabled by power controlling him with Dormammu. And I don't need the immunity, but the immunity is a good, you know, safety measure to have in the back pocket. Just because, again, Archangel, really the only thing that is dangerous about Archangel is his damage over time abilities. So that you want to avoid. And then actually he's easily down with Dormammu, and I'm already done with my path. Again, I'm actually a big fan of Dormammu. There's a lot of people who say, okay, his damage output is not as high, which is true. You know, you wouldn't use him against a final boss, but he has a lot of use on a path where he can actually power control or also help with his immunities to get the job done. And now, as I promised, I was not fighting any more mini-boss or the final boss, but I asked my fellow teammate Elusive, who was doing that for me, actually to record, and he did, and allowed me, thank you very much, to use his footage. So he was the one then moving forward in the last 2 fights of the day, and that with his Corvus Glaive, who at that stage had 3 persistent charges. And basically the first mini-boss he fought was Punisher 99, and the only tricky thing about this node is actually that, the fight's already over, I'm still talking, that it's kinetic reactor. So when Punisher hits your block, he gains power, and because he has so many shots on his special 1 or his special 2, the moment that he fires off his special 1, he basically got a new special 1 again. But if you don't let him even come to his specials, but immediately take him down with Corvus Glaive with his special 2, then of course it's an easy fight. And that's also why Elusive has taken a power-up boost. So he starts already with 1 bar of power, and then very quickly gets to his special 2, which is the one that's causing this much damage. And already now, and this is the final boss fight, 2 special 2s, and Gladiator Hulk, I mean rank 4, but still, Gladiator Hulk is almost already down. And on top, I think he was also using a 200% Cosmic boost, which also makes that when he fires off his special 2, he almost gets, or he gets a lot of energy back and almost another special 2. And then what he does very, very cleverly is he uses Gladiator Hulk actually hitting his block until he has the next special 2 again. And so he can actually, with only those 20 glaive charges, still fire off 3 special 2s in the fight against the final boss. And that's what in the end gets him down so quickly. And that was it, including the boss fight. And with that, I can also again say that we won this war. So this has been streak number 10. And we're still in the race. It's still 4 alliances as before that are unbeaten. So it's still very, very close. But we are hoping very much to end up in the top 3. So if you liked the video, give it a like. If you are new to the channel and would like to see more war videos like this in the future, hit the subscribe button. And I hope to see you on my channel very soon. Cheers, folks.